Hey friends, what is up? Derek here from Bomb Socks with another round of Bomb Bites where we feast upon the words of Christ one bite at a time. Yesterday we brought up this idea of persecution, and you're going to see how Monday's episode kind of builds on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and so forth with this, because it's a continual thought as the saints are being persecuted. They're being kicked out of Jackson County, Missouri. They're losing their farms. They're losing so much of what's going on here, and they're very frustrated, wondering why the Lord is allowing them to go through these things. Well, you go back to 98 verse 2, and I want to show you again this idea of waiting patiently. Waiting patiently. And if you're anything like me, you want patience. You know, I saw this, God grant me patience, and I want it right now. Oftentimes we will pray for patience, then just expect the Lord to just sprinkle patience dust on us. And that's not how it works. He will often provide for us opportunities to be patient. And so what I want to show you through this is the Lord provides what I would refer to as the Lord's Anger Management Program. It's what he's teaching about patience in 1833. In fact, in the Come Follow Me manual, it gives these verses 23 through 48. And it says, the Lord wants me to seek peace in his way. Because again, I can imagine the idea of retaliation, vengeance that these saints or back in 1833 wanted to do. And sometimes we see that today as well. It says, while not everything, and this is a key element to understand when you're reading these verses, while not everything in Doctrine and Covenants 98, 23 to 48 will apply to your personal interactions with others. Please remember that. There are some things there that don't apply. But what principles do you find that can guide you when you are wronged by others? It may be helpful to mark words or phrases describing how the Lord wanted the saints to handle the conflict in Missouri. So I'd like you to do that. Go through words and phrases in those verses, verses 23 to 48, and just see what things can help you when you feel wronged by others in some way. Even if you feel wronged by God in some way, go through and read these verses and see if there's anything that teaches you, and we'll come back and talk about a couple. Okay, so in these verses, you find what is referred to really as the law of retaliation, and you find also what's called the law of forgiveness. It's kind of broken up there. Those really, as far as retaliation goes, one of the things that the Lord teaches here, he's like, look, I will fight your battles. In fact, he says, I would fight your battles if you will allow me to do that. We are not very good retaliators, but God, and again, I'm not saying that he is a God of retaliation, but keep in mind, he is also a God who will take care of his children. He is, after all, what it said in verse 2, the Lord of Sabaoth. Your prayers have entered into his ears, and he will take care of you. And again, that I'm going to let him do so well at what he does. He asks me, however, to also be patient and to be forgiving. That's where it becomes difficult, because the natural man within me doesn't want to do that. So there was a talk a few years ago from Elder Robert C. Oakes. It was called The Power of Patience, 2006. Look at what Elder Oakes says here. He says, since impatience is so natural, how do we develop the divine virtue of patience? How do we move our behavior from that of the natural man to that of our patient, perfect example, Jesus Christ, which I believe is what he's trying to teach in section 98. First, we must understand that to do so is necessary if we desire to fully enjoy the blessings of the restored gospel. Such an understanding might motivate us to, 1, read each of the scriptures in the topical guide listed under the topic patience, and then ponder Christ's patient examples. Number 2, evaluate ourselves to determine where we stand on the patience continuum, meaning 1, completely impatient, to 10, so patient. How much more patience do we need to become more Christ-like? This self-assessment is difficult. We might ask our spouse or another family member to help us. You can imagine how that would go. Become sensitive to the examples of patience and of impatience that occur around us every day. We should strive to emulate those individuals we consider to be patient. And then number 4, recommit each day to become more patient and be certain to keep our selected family member involved in our patience project. Now, Elder Oakes says this sounds like a great deal of work, but to achieve any worthwhile goal requires hard work. And overcoming the natural man and working to become more Christ-like in our patience is a most appropriate objective. I pray that we'll pursue this path with diligence and dedication. You know, the Lord mentions in these verses, especially in those early on ones with verses 23 to 26 and 98, where he says, bear it patiently, bear it patiently. It's there all kinds. So that's how the Lord wants you to retaliate, is to be patient. He even said that someone comes in, smacks your cheek, let him smack the other one as well, and allow him to be the one who gives reward and, in some instances, retaliation. And I don't want to just have you sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, God's gonna get you, ha ha." I don't know if that's the right way to look at it, but we do believe that the Lord is Lord of Sabaoth. He is the Lord of the armies of Israel, and he will take care of you. One other quick little thought along these lines. Go over to section 99. Let me introduce you to this man. This is John Murdock. John Murdock's a hero. The section heading says, for over a year, John Murdock had been preaching the gospel while his children, motherless, after the death of his wife Julia in April of 1831, resided with other families in Ohio. In fact, you might remember this story. It was the Murdock twins. Julia Murdock had died giving birth to twins, and at the same point, Emma had also given birth to twins and had lost those twins. And so John Murdock let Joseph and Emma adopt his twins and took care of them. So one of the tender stories here. This man right here, John Murdock, I think is a pattern of patience. And if you really want to have a good understanding of John, you read section 99. In fact, in the Come Follow Me, it says, when John Murdock was called to leave his home to proclaim the everlasting gospel, he had just returned from a difficult year-long mission in Missouri. Great article to read here. You can link on that there for the revelations and context. What do we find in section 99 that may have been helpful or encouraging to Brother Murdock? What message does the Lord have for us in this revelation? I love even verse number 1. Thus saith the Lord unto my servant, insert your name here, you're called to go to wherever, from house to house, village to village, from city to city, proclaim mine everlasting gospel unto the inhabitants thereof in the midst of persecution and wickedness. And so that's where I look at that. And oftentimes the messages that we will be asked to give are going to be in the midst of persecution. So just a few things to keep in mind with regards to patience and how the Lord wants us to handle the situations in our life, and also how he wants us to trust him through this whole process as well. So anyway, I love that. It's a tough message, but I think it's also something that can bless our lives through this. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thank you for sharing. Go check out our amazing gospel-themed socks at bombsocks.com. You guys are awesome. Godspeed. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.